Here's something most people get backwards about money. They assume a new monetary system starts when a government, a bank, or some powerful institution declares something to be money. But a lot of time, that's actually the end of the process. The process starts much earlier. It starts when ordinary people, usually under some kind of pressure, begin accepting the same thing, trusting the same rules, and acting like the system is real before anybody else important approves of it. During World War II, prisoners used cigarettes as money. In colonial America, people used the Spanish piece of 8, the coin you see in pirate movies, before the United States even had an official dollar. And Bitcoin started with a few internet strangers running software that almost everybody else thought was pointless. These are completely different examples at completely different scales, but underneath them, the same thing is happening. People coordinate first. The monetary system comes later. Once you understand that, serious meme coin communities start looking a lot less ridiculous. The phrase I use for this is socio-financial alignment. I know that sounds like something somebody made up for a white paper, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's what happens when the same group of people shares belief, owns the same asset, and contributes work that can strengthen the network around that asset. So your reputation inside the group matters, your financial position matters, the work you contribute matters, and all three begin pointing toward the same outcome, which is very different from an audience. An audience watches, an aligned network participates. And when enough people participate for long enough, the thing they're coordinating around can start functioning like a real financial system. One of the cleanest examples comes from Allied prisoners of war camps during World War II. An economist named R.A. Radford was held in one of these camps, and after the war, he wrote about the economy he watched form inside of it. The prisoners received food, supplies, and cigarettes. Naturally, they started trading with one another, but over time, cigarettes became more than just another item people traded. Prices started being quoted in cigarettes. Food was valued in cigarettes, and even prisoners who didn't smoke were willing to accept them. That last part is the most important part. A non-smoker didn't accept the cigarette because he personally wanted it. He accepted the cigarette because he knew the next man would probably accept it from him as well. That confidence made the cigarette useful beyond its original purpose. There was no central bank in the camp. Nobody passed a law declaring cigarettes legal tender. The men simply needed one shared unit, and through repeated use, they turned cigarettes into money. Now, the cigarette itself wasn't the system. The agreement between the men was the system. Now take that same idea and scale it up. Before the United States had its own established currency, the American colonies had a basic problem. There weren't enough British coins circulating. England didn't supply the colonies with enough coinage, and it also prohibited them from minting their own, but people still had to trade. So they started using other things. And one of the most popular was the Spanish silver dollar, the piece of 8. The coin had a consistent amount of silver in it, merchants recognized it, and more importantly, they knew other merchants recognized it too. People would literally cut the coin into 8 pieces or bits to make change. That's where phrases like pieces of 8 and 2 bits came from. But here's where the story gets interesting. The Spanish dollar became widely accepted in the colonies before the new American government created its own dollar. Then, when the United States eventually established a national monetary system, it adopted the dollar as its standard unit, largely because the Spanish dollar was already so popular and widely trusted. So the government didn't invent that monetary behavior from nothing. It formalized something ordinary people have already been doing. The people selected the monetary standard first. The institution codified it second. In a very real sense, the monetary network existed before the country's official currency did. Bitcoin did that same thing. Then Bitcoin brought the same process onto the internet. Satoshi published a white paper describing electronic cash that could move directly between people without going through a financial institution, but publishing a white paper doesn't create money, and neither does creating code. Code sitting on a computer that nobody runs is just code. Somebody had to take the first step and treat the system as though it was worth participating in. Hal Finney was one of the first people to do that. When Satoshi released the software, Hal downloaded it and started running it. He mined an early block. He received the first Bitcoin transaction, 10 Bitcoin sent directly from Satoshi. And then he spent the next several days reporting bugs while Satoshi fixed them. And then more people joined. They mined blocks, they ran nodes, they built wallets, they accepted Bitcoin, they explained it to other people, they argued about the rules, and every person who contributed made the network slightly more real. That's the part people miss when they reduce Bitcoin's early history to a few people believed in an imaginary internet money. Belief alone wasn't enough. The belief produced work. The work made the network more secure and more useful. That increased its credibility, and increasing credibility attracted more people. The people doing the work also owned the assets, so they had a financial incentive to improve the system they were participating in. That is socio-financial alignment. The believers became owners. The owners became contributors. And the contributors made the thing they owned harder to dismiss. So let's line up the three examples. Prisoners inside a camp, colonists outside the British monetary system, and cypherpunks outside the traditional financial system. They were all dealing with different forms of adversity, but the order of events was basically the same. A group needed a better way to coordinate. They settled on a shared unit, they began accepting it from one another, and the repeated behavior made that unit increasingly useful. The object didn't magically create the network. The network made the object monetary. That distinction is the entire point of this video, because now we can talk about men, loneliness, and meme coins without treating them as three unrelated subjects, where a growing number of men are becoming disconnected from the institutions that used to coordinate their lives. In 1990, only 3% of American men said they had no close friends. By 2021, that number had risen to 15%, and over the same period, the percentage of men with at least 6 close friends fell from 55% to 27%. Prime age male labor force participation has also declined significantly since the late 1960s, and the male suicide rate in America is nearly 4 times the female rate. Look at all of those trends together, they point towards something broader. A lot of men are no longer embedded in systems that give them a role, a routine, status, and other people who depend on them. The thing is that men usually don't pursue brotherhood directly. Most guys don't sit down with a group of strangers and say, "Hey guys, do you want to become emotionally close?" That's not how it happens. Men join a team, they take a job, they build something, they compete, they try to solve a problem together. And the brotherhood develops indirectly through the mission. And even though it may seem like that, men have not lost that instinct. A lot of them have simply lost a place to put it. At the same time, crypto remains disproportionately male. A recent survey found that 38% of American men between 18 and 29 had used cryptocurrency, compared with 15% of women the same age. That doesn't prove loneliness causes men to buy crypto. It does reveal a pretty important overlap. This demographic of men is becoming less connected to traditional systems of social coordination. They're disproportionately entering a new financial world built almost entirely around online coordination. Now, look at the structure of the serious meme coin community. The meme is like the American flag. Imagine that. The token gives everybody a shared financial stake. The group chat or the spaces and the social accounts become the social coordination layer. The price becomes the public scoreboard, and then people start finding roles. One person makes content, another person researches wallets, somebody hosts a daily space, somebody builds a tool, somebody welcomes new holders and helps them understand the culture. Somebody keeps everyone engaged when the market is completely dead and there's no immediate reward for doing any of it. A guy might enter because he thinks he found a trade, but then people learn his username, they recognize his voice, they expect him to show up, and eventually people notice when he's gone. That's why I think people get the relationship between a meme coin and its community completely backwards. They describe the community as the marketing arm of the coin, as though the coin is the real product and the community only exists to promote it. But in serious meme coins, the community isn't some department attached to the asset. The community is the asset. It creates the language, it creates the culture, the distribution, the information, the relationships, and ultimately the reason anybody outside those group chats starts paying attention. Because of the fact the members own the same asset, their individual effort can strengthen the network surrounding what they own, and because they own it, they have a reason to keep contributing that effort. That feedback loop is the important part. The token aligns financial incentives, the meme aligns identity, and the community converts both of those things into action. That is socio-financial alignment. And for a lot of men, it does something else at the same time. It gives them a banner, it gives them a role, it gives them a group where they don't have to feel lonely in. They make a meme, they host a space, they research the market, they build something useful, they show up, and through that process, strangers can actually become brothers. Isolation turns into belonging. Now, the coin may be the excuse that gets them into the room. Shared financial stake is what makes their collective effort economically consequential. Now, we have to be honest about where this argument stops. 1,000 people owning the same token doesn't automatically make them a new financial system. 1,000 people yelling the same ticker can still just be 1,000 people hoping to sell on one another at a higher price. Most meme coins are exactly like that. They're just speculation, not durable socio-financial networks. The serious question is, what behavior does the asset coordinate when the price stops rewarding people? Does the community still create anything? Does it produce useful information, culture, tools, relationships, or events? Is status earned by contributing, or is it only purchased through wallet size? Can the group survive without one central personality holding everything together? Can a newcomer become a genuine member, or does every newcomer exist only to become somebody else's exit liquidity? That's how I think about these assets as an investor. I'm not just looking at how many people hold the coin, I'm looking at what those people are capable of doing together. Because a crowd can move a price for a day, a coordinated network can keep creating value after the initial attention disappears. Those prisoners didn't wait for a central bank to create a currency inside the camp. The colonists didn't wait for Britain to provide them with enough money, and the early Bitcoin users didn't wait for Wall Street to decode digital money was legitimate. They found one another. They selected a shared unit, they put their reputation, labor, and resources behind it, and then they kept using it until the system became real enough that other people had to pay attention to it. Today, millions of men are experimenting with a rough digital version of that same process around memes and tokens. Now, most of those experiments will fail. Some of those will be predatory, and very few of those will become durable. But the underlying human ability is real. Ordinary people can become socially and financially aligned enough to build systems that the prevailing institutions never would have created for them. And that's what most people miss when they look at meme coins and only see jokes, speculation, and charts. The coin is the visible object. The alignment underneath is the real asset. Money doesn't create the brotherhood. The brotherhood creates the money.